Okay, alright, so here we are on the first episode of Non-Violent News. Non-Violent News, what is it? Watch the other video, I've just made it, it's fine. We're going to start, obviously, the biggest news story at the minute in England, in London, is the old terrorism thing that happened the other day down by Westminster. And it's a big deal. If you read the papers, it's a really massive deal. It's like an out of proportion dramatized version of something that is obviously involves a lot of people, a lot of vulnerability going on, people being hurt and people experiencing a lot of very intense things, and you know, a lot of heart for that. But when I read what's happening in the papers, like the Daily Mail, I bought the Daily Mail as a paper that could be almost like a flagship for aggressive writing and aggressive emotive writing that makes all kinds of analysis and judgments and separates and divides and is really kind of designed to keep you in this angry, fierce us against them. Who can we have a go at next? Who's trying to have a go at us? That kind of a paper. I mean, there's my diagnosis and analysis and judgment about the Daily Mail. If I was looking to why the Daily Mail might be doing that, if I was coming from a heart-based place, I would probably say, well, the writers of the Daily Mail are probably experiencing a lot of fear in their lives, and they have deep needs for security and to feel safe and to feel like they're heard and understood. And it's sometimes very difficult to get to that when people are being so outwardly aggressive or what we would term as manipulative. But behind everything, behind every person that does something that we don't really like, is somebody just trying to get their needs met. And if we can stay connected to those needs as they're happening, then we'll start to kind of feel more of this sense of unity and like, oh wow, we're a whole planet, we're a species. Like, we're not these little individual separated boxes of pain and misery that are hooked onto our smartphones. If we look at the Daily Mail, we can see the headline, the day, I'm trying to read that backwards, the day terror came to Westminster. So immediately we're filled with this sense of terror as this kind of externalized object. Like, what is terror? Terror is like this ominous looming thing that we don't really know how to process, and it's like, fucking hell, it's terror. Terror's on its way. Terror's coming. This is awful. I don't want anything to do with that. I'll go and hide in my little house and put on the TV where it's safe. And so the day that terror is so ambiguous in its description, so immediately we look at that and we think, wow, there is a huge threat. I guess the idea is supposed to feel a lot of fear, and that your need for security is suddenly very real. Like, I have a deep need for security. I have a need to feel like I'm safe, and I'm really frightened right now, and I really feel very vulnerable. Instead of that, what we're kind of being educated here to do is to say, well, I'm going to get angry, I'm going to put up my barriers to that vulnerability and safety and protection. Whereas really, if we're able to just kind of sit with each other and like soften into this kind of very, very difficult emotion, a lot of people are feeling a lot of very difficult things here, and I feel it's not really, it's more exacerbated by things like this than helped. And inside, when I read some of the things that are said inside, it becomes even more difficult, and I start to feel a sense of kind of anger and rage, and I have a need for transparency and a need for check the old needs list. I need for authenticity and integrity and connection and love and compassion and empathy, and all these needs that are not being met when I read the rhetoric that's going on in here. So, well, we've got a load of pictures of stuff going on here. Terror struck at the heart of democracy yesterday. No, it didn't. I guess what they're trying to put across here is that they want us to be scared because they're scared, and they want somebody to kind of be able to connect with them on that level and be like, oh, I don't know, maybe, you know, there's all kinds of agendas going on, and if you can divide people up, you can rule them very easily. But even that, like even an agenda that kind of intricate and long term, at the heart of it is a sense of fear of like, oh, I need to survive. I need to get my needs met. How am I going to do that? I haven't quite figured out how to just sit with them and be vulnerable. So I've got to go on this kind of course of manipulation to try to get people scared, so I can divide them, so I can control. The editors of the Daily Mail have a kind of a need for control, or safety, or security, or something like that, which we mentioned. And they're trying to get that need met by promoting a sense of fear among people. And so when you read that, you might start to feel a sense of anger, and behind this sense of anger might be a feeling of vulnerability, or a need for equality, and a need for authenticity, integrity. Like me, when I'm reading it, that's kind of what I'm feeling. Hello. Okay. Hello. So here is Turtle. Turtle right now is feeling a little bit excited and agitated and aggravated, and is in need of some serious excitement. Let's stay here and let's calm down for a little while. We're trying to do something important. Okay. Yeah. So, exceptional bravery from our police. The Prime Minister, her voice shaking, said, for those of us who are in Parliament, her voice shaking, it's like, it's creating a kind of a story around somebody who basically wasn't having his needs met, and the only solution he could think of was to make some kind of statement in a way that caused a lot of, or that stimulated in a lot of... This isn't meeting my needs. Okay. Okay. Right, I don't know where we are now. What are we doing? We've been interrupted by a small feline who's trying to get his needs met. Anyway, it goes on. We could go on for this for a while now. There's like just visual graphics of like how the terror came, and it's all this word of like terror, this objectification of this man as a terrorist. It's like this objectification. What are you doing? You're not meeting that plant's needs there, are you? You're just having a little chomp on it. If it would meet your needs, I would like you to be a bit more respectful to my fauna or flora. I can't remember which one it is, whatever it is, plants and that. Excuse me, I need this. So we've got all these pictures here, and like carnage and kindness on Westminster. Okay, that's good. A little bit of kindness, which is nice. And we've got all these pictures. Yeah. And we want reporting on this. Like, we want to kind of know, obviously we do, but the story that comes around it and the objectifications and the analysis without recognising that what's going on is a lot of people with a lot of feelings and a lot of needs and a lot of kind of vulnerability, and there's no softness to kind of allow that kind of vulnerability, the space to just exist and just be there and be felt, and we can all kind of be in that together and connect with it, and then we can recognise, oh, we're all human beings. Even that guy who went on a rampage stabbing and killing people and driving into people, he's a human being as well. And the amount of pain that was in me, you can't see what's going on here, but he's just going nuts. Yeah, if we have that kind of space for vulnerability, then we can recognise that, wow, there's a deep pain in the people. We're even objectifying them as victims, like this is a victim, and then there's a box around that, and there's so much meaning loaded into it. What does this mean? How should I treat this person? They're a victim. They should be given sympathy instead of what they really need, which is empathy, and just a soft space to be able to express and feel the pain. Turtle's not being a very soft space right now, are you, mate? Instead of a soft space to be able to feel that pain and connect with that pain and really go deeply into it. And of course it's difficult, so we do want to put up barriers, we do want to put up walls to this. Like, I do it all the time. Like, I'm I'm terrible at it. That's why I'm doing this, is because I want to learn a new way of like just dropping into that kind of vulnerability and saying that, okay, I'm not going to objectify myself as something good or something bad. I'm just gonna say what I'm feeling and what needs are alive inside of me, needing to be expressed. So when I'm reading this, I'm looking at a lot of people needs for security, needs for safety, needs for empathy, for nurturing, stability, support, to be understood, to be heard, to hear and be heard, to understand and be understood, safety, all kinds of things like this. And then we've got the Daily Mail, who is in some way disrespectful, is not part of a non-violent communication thing. It's like I have a need for respect, and I don't feel the way the Daily Mail reports this meets my need for respect for the amount of pain that people are going through with this thing. It's and I would like to express that to an editor of the Daily Mail without imparting any kind of blame or criticism on them, because that's not a way to kind of non-violently integrate. And I imagine the editors of the Daily Mail probably do get a lot of blame and criticism, and in a way there's almost like an identity that's formed around that, where they, some people kind of thrive off this criticism. They like to kind of play the scapegoat or the bad guy or something. And I don't know, maybe they do. Maybe there's a sense of like identity, that the more criticism you receive, the more it kind of feeds this thing. And so if I was approaching this and approaching the editor, I would really want them to hear what's alive in me without hearing any kind of blame or criticism, because the way that I'm interpreting it is really the cause of my emotions. They might be the stimulus, but the way that I'm interpreting it is the cause. And the way that I interpret it is either to come on with my own set of judgments about, well, they're doing this because they're horrible and they're trying to control us and manipulate us, or they're a set of human beings as well and they're trying to do their best to get their needs met. And it gets harder because as we go into it, we've got all kinds of judgments and analysis and jackling, we call it in non-violent communication, jackling how one open gate let knife maniac in to kill. We've already established he's a maniac, so he's insane. He needs to be ostracized and cut out. And obviously if somebody's doing kind of stuff like that, you want to contain it and the protective use of force, we call it. But then to condemn and judge, and this is a maniac, this is a psychopath, they are irredeemable and need to be ostracized from society. It's like cutting off your toe and saying this toe's bullshit, it doesn't work, it's causing me all kinds of problems, just get rid of it. I don't know how I'd feel about that. It doesn't feel like a way to kind of integrate and be whole and be accepting and embracing of what's happening as it's happening. Yeah, but that is the world we're living in at the minute. So what else have we got? Yeah, storm as Scots carry on as if nothing happened. We can have a go at the Scots. It's the old the maniac that was rampaging, that brought terror to Westminster and to stab at the heart of democracy. The Scots don't care about us. Why would they? They're all trying to get their independence and everything like that. What's happened here? Oh, nothing. Never mind. Let's carry on. Okay, good. Fury in Edinburgh's Parliament takes 1 hour for businesses to be suspended, and Tories even accused of using London attack to try to stifle independence debate. So we can turn it to some kind of political thing, and we can have a little quick jab at the Scots. And when people are doing that, when we're like trying to project it out onto somebody else, that's our way of this kind of essential pleas of like, this emotion is way too much for me to handle right now. I don't know how to handle it. It's their fault. It's you over there. You're not the stimulus, you are the cause of my pain. And it's not the way that I'm interpreting it, it's you're doing it to me, and therefore I'm condemning myself to this kind of sense of victimhood, which I do sometimes, and I suffer for it, and then I shame myself for being a victim, and I shame myself for shaming myself for being a victim. And so it's not like I'm kind of immune to this, but there's, you know, I'm looking into kind of having enough space for all of that to exist, of like, well, you know, there is enough kind of love and energy in the universe for all that to be happening at the same time. There's enough room for me for this kind of me thing to be objectifying myself as a victim, and then shaming myself, and then shaming myself for shaming myself, and all these meta layers of shame and grief and self-deprecation and all this stuff. So that, you know, that is all the truth of the moment. That is exactly what's happening right now, and I don't need to fight that. If I'm fighting it, then I'm causing more problems. So, okay. And then what have we got? So the next page, now we can kind of see why this is what almost like what we're waiting for. What's the agenda behind the way that this has been reported and the way it's been kind of dramatized. If our phones have to be tapped by the spooks, then so be it. This is a little picture of Max Hastings, and when I see that, I feel a sense of disgust, and that's not his fault. That's me feeling a sense of disgust when I look at that picture and see that headline, because I'm interpreting it in a way that is, they're trying to manipulate me by stirring up all these strong emotions of fear, and then saying, this is the solution. If we take away more of your privacy, this is the solution. This will make you safe. And it's like, we know that that's bullshit. It just, of course. And I feel a sense of anger, and I can feel something stirring inside of me. And when I feel a sense of anger, it's a sign that I'm disconnected from my needs, and so I'm needing a sense of authenticity and integrity. If the Daily Mail just came out and said, hey, something happened yesterday and we're really fucking scared, like, it's really, wow, that was really scary, it was really hard. I don't know why it happened. This human being kind of lost his mind. He must have been in such pain that he couldn't he just didn't know what he was doing, and his mind snapped, and the only possible way that he could see to get his needs for recognition or understanding or to be seen and be heard was to go around killing people, and that really hurts. And I feel such a sense of sadness and a deep sense of grief and a need to mourn the fact that happened within our species. And even thinking about it now, when I put it in those terms myself, I can feel like a sense of like my emotions welling up, because I suddenly feel connected at the heart to this guy and to the people that are suffering and continue to suffer in London because of that. And even to this guy Max Hastings, who's saying the spooks have to tap our phones, that's a little bit more challenging, but I know he's a human being. I know he's trying to get his needs met, and maybe he has a need for security and to protect his family and things like that. And so I know it's there. Just right now, the amount of pain that I'm in when I kind of consider things in the way that I'm interpreting them, like he's trying to control and manipulate my opinion, is just very difficult for me to kind of see through, to connect to that empathetically. But what I would then want to do with myself is to say, yeah, it's okay, you're making these head-based judgments about him. Give myself some emergency empathy and say, and even to kind of let if I'm feeling angry, like I've tried it a lot of times just to push it down or to feel a sense of shame about it, like whoa, no anger, this is bad news. But what I'm kind of learning to do more with this, as this anger kind of arises, is just to almost like express it in my head. And there was a thing in one of Rosenberg's books where he talks about having a lot of anger stimulated in him by something this guy said about Jews, and he's Jewish, and he's saying that he allowed himself to enjoy the anger, and even allowed himself to enjoy the imagery, the violent imagery of like him smashing the guy's head against the wall or something like that, and just to let that fully in and express itself and translate itself into thoughts and images and symbols, and to just have that be there, and just to open up enough space within him to let this kind of very intense anger is a very intense emotion in, so, and have enough empathy for himself to feel the anger and then feel the deep fear or sadness or grief or something that it's trying to protect. And as I talk about that, I'm starting to feel different about old Max Hastings here, and I'm starting to see a little bit in his eyes of like, yeah, there he is. There might be a lot of walls in the way, but he's still a human being, and I'm a human being, and we all have needs, and there we go. And so, I think that's probably it for the first episode. I would love your feedback on this, and if there's things that you're kind of interested in, I would like to do more of these, and make a few extra bits and pieces, and see how it goes. But that was non-violent news. Thanks for your time. I hope that met your needs for something. See ya.